what's going on here. And they act like they don't know about white privilege.
Mm-hmm.
And they don't know that, look, they got all these people at the border. And they're giving them white privilege.
Mm-hmm.
But what do they want over here for that white privilege? What is the senators? What is the politicians? What is the congressman and all the people involved? They want sex trafficking. They want pedophilism because they give a stipulation. You have to have a kid. Because that's pedophilism.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to let you in and give you a white privilege. So you go out and kill somebody and take their kids, or you go kidnap some kids, or you go rob and do whatever to bring some kids that are not your kids. Yeah. And then the terrorists can mix in and come over. Mm-hmm. And Guzman, the big drug dealer, yeah. His mules can come over and they can laundry the money through the American banks and make it legit.
Yeah.
And all of these different things, they're going to give you white privilege. In exchange, you're unaccountable.
Yeah.
There's no birth certificate on you. There's no census on you.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody knows who your relatives are in these other countries. They're going to eat you. They're going to devour you. They're going to sex trade you and your kids.
Yeah. And I actually...
This is deep.
Yeah, I was watching a video, and they actually talked about how even Africans, Black Africans, when they immigrate to America, they get the same white privileges as far as like not having a birth certificate, not paying as much taxes.
Don't pay no taxes.
No taxes.
And they can have bank accounts.
Exactly.
And have the same privilege that all American people are having without the headaches.
Exactly. Because they get a lot of money into their accounts with everything.
Yeah, well, the government pays a lot of the Asians money, thousands and thousands. That's why they can come over and buy 7 homes, buy companies, buy businesses, because they're giving, that's right, tax-free. But they don't talk about this on TV in the media because they're hypocrites.
Mm-hmm.
They're hypocrites. The media is owned by these people. Like, back in the day, people were a little smart, they were a little hip. The guy on the corner selling the drugs, he got busted. He got 99 years. But he didn't have no airplane. Yeah. He didn't have no money to bring in the drugs.
Yeah.
It was the doctors and the judges and whomever, the Congress politicians.
Hollywood celebrities push this because they're all bought and paid for, and they have to do what they're told. Otherwise, they won't get movie scripts or movie roles.
Yeah, that's very true. And if you think about it, historically, it's been indigenous people, it's been Black Americans who are getting thrown in prison for these small petty crimes as far as drugs, but all these people that can come here and classify as white, whether you're African, a Black African, whether you're Asian, whether you're whatever, you can be sick. There's so many, especially in Houston, sex trafficking, and we're in Vegas, sex trafficking is ridiculous. People come from Asia, they have these happy endings at the massage parlor. We know about it, that it's happening.
Yeah.
And tax-free, bringing all these women here to traffic them.
And where's Hollywood to speak on again?
Exactly. They're promoting it.
Hollywood has always been a big cabal of the trade, flesh trade. And destroying kids, a lot of them that grew up and committed suicide.
Yeah.
A lot of them that was destroyed by drugs, and their lives were totally, Corey Feldman and the other Corey and Joan Rivers and a whole lot of other, way back.
A lot of people.
We all know their names.
Yeah, they're just starting to talk about
Judy Garland. When she,
Yeah.
There's all these different people. We can go on and on. The list is endless. But it needs to come out.
Yeah. Because nobody's talking about that. I was wondering, how come nobody is really
telling the truth?
Talking about what's really real. And, even the Black Panther movie. So, I am proud of how well it did in the box office, all the myths that it busted. But there's a huge thing, the plot and the story I have a big problem with, because for one, you have this African superhero, which I think is beautiful. I love Africa and things like that. But if you think about the plot, they're in this imaginary place, supposedly imaginary. I actually looked it up.
Wakanda.
It's a real place.
They want people to believe that the Black Panther is the Black people's first superhero. But no, it's not. I gave the Black people their first superheroes in 1999 with The Matrix.
Yeah.
The Black Panther is the first Black hero for the people of the continent Africa. But they sold them all of this.
Yeah.
They dressed up like they were in Africa. Like you remember you were talking about earlier, how the black people are identifying with Africa.
Yeah.
And they're like, some of them are some of them are real Africans and
Yeah.
derived from it or are proud of it.
Yeah. But
And
some of us-
they that was fine.
Yeah.
But we need to tell the truth because everybody did not come from Africa.
Yeah.
They were stolen from up north and from other parts where the land was together. It wasn't separated by water.
Mm-hmm.
They were stolen from everywhere. Because do you know that Africa is 8,000 miles from America?
Mm-hmm.
And you have to go through 4,000 ports to get fresh water and food.
Yeah.
So now, how is this myth, this lie, that they brought thousands and thousands of black people stacked on top of each other over here when it's impossible to go from 8,000 miles to get here and you got these 4,000 ports? You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
You would die before you could bring all, you'd have to
They
throw
were
them
dying.
overboard.
You gotta think about it. They were dying themselves. They barely got here themselves.
That's what I'm saying. So how
When we
did
got
they
here, they were
bring...
dying.
Mm-hmm.
It's the myth and the lie because people don't Google. You know, all you have to do is
They don't ask the right
Google,
questions. That's
and they don't ask the right question because they want to believe the lie. They want to believe the fantasy.
They believe what they're told.
Well,
Yeah,
the Hollywood cabal make you see what they want you to see.
Yes.
Remember
Aladdin.
that? That's right, Aladdin.
Yeah.
Look at Aladdin.
Uh-huh.
They create what they want you to see.
Will Smith specifically says those words.
Yeah, and not only does Will say those words, he say many, many more metaphysical words
Mm-hmm.
in the movie Aladdin. And you need to go
I
see
didn't see
Aladdin.
that. So tell me about Aladdin. 'Cause
You
I
need
don't-
to go see
haven't seen
Aladdin
it in
because
my-
Will is saying a lot of metaphysical things
Mhm.
that is going on in the Hollywood cabal.
Mhm.
He even tell you, well, you don't want to drink from that cup of greed
Yeah.
because that cup is insatiable
Yeah.
and you will never be satisfied. The more you hunger for and greedy for,
Yeah.
the more you want, and
Watch
you
it
can
3 times.
never be satisfied.
Watch it 3
Interesting.
times.
Yeah, you gotta watch it because it is phenomenal. Everybody out there, you need to watch Aladdin.
Yeah.
You need to listen to the metaphysics
Yeah.
because I'm revealing a lot of metaphysical stuff,
Yeah.
but Will is really has been because they hide it in plain sight.
Yeah. Most people don't
So
know.
if they hide something in plain sight, the truth, you won't pick up on it. You
Yeah.
won't register it.
Yeah.
If you hide something, if they hide something, we can find it because that's the law.
Mhm.
Whatever anybody hides, you know, like kids can find the guns,
Mhm.
and they said you need to lock the gun up in a safe because kids can find anything.
Yeah. I found a gun in somebody's sofa when I was little, so it's true.
Yeah, kids
You
can
can hide
find anything. So you need to lock it up in a safe, people.
Yeah.
Don't try to hide anything because the law says if you hide something, it's going to be found. If you whisper something in the dark, it'll be shouted from the rooftop.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking? These are laws.
Yeah. And that's my big thing.
If
with-
you hide something in the dark, it's
Yeah.
going to come to the light.
It's true.
That's the law.
And that's my big thing with like the Black Panther because they made you believe that they basically played into the thing where black people kind of feel like they've been left behind by Africans or y'all left us. So they have this character where his brother goes to America and he becomes this gangster and he's a real Black Panther in America where Black Panthers came from. Literally the Black Panther used to populate North America. And so you have this other side that doesn't want to help African Americans because they want to protect their Wakanda. And when the movie came out, I went on Google Maps. I felt led to go on Google Maps. I typed in Wakanda. There's a Wakanda trail. There's Wakanda, a place in Wakanda in Colorado. In every place where you type in, and y'all can do this right now, Google Maps, you'll find different places in America.
Yeah, what they
In America, only in America.
Yeah, only in America,
North
not in Africa. but
Exactly.
The
And they even
continent.
they shot the movie at Tyler Perry's studio, the African parts.
Yes.
So they hid that whole history in plain sight, and they made the African American person seem ignorant, angry, killing people, and the Africans killed their own brother to save a white man.
Well,
So
So
now
it's
we're
just
talking about
like
division.
It is.
Well, this is why
you confusion. It's a lot of confusion.
But this is why you know that it is a propaganda movie because it's showing black people killing black people.
Exactly.
Now in the
protagonist and the antagonist.
Yeah, they're both black.
Yeah.
But in the Matrix, the white guy is the bad guy.
Yeah.
And the people of color are in heroes' role. They're like they're playing the heroes.
And Keanu Reeves is a person of color.
But I've been saying that for years, and as Diana in my interviews, I've been speaking about that for years.
Yeah.
That his father is Polynesian, Asian Polynesian.
Yeah.
His mother is English.
Yeah.
But they keep lying and said he's Lebanese, that he's from Lebanon. Yeah. And I told people it has nothing to do with the skin color.
Yeah.
And Carrie Ann Moss is Canadian. But the fact is that the whites came to me and they said, we know you wrote The Matrix because in our science fiction, we are the heroes saving the world. We're Superman, Batman, Spider-Man, Iron Man, and Rocky.
Yep.
Saving the world. We're not the bad guys.
Yeah.
Now, the black exploitation movies that got Hollywood out of hock, that literally saved them from bankruptcy and saved them when they were going broke, they always fall back on these black exploitation movies. When you look at the black exploitation movies, Shaft, Dolomite, Pam Grier, Super, Fred Williamson, Black Caesar, blah, blah, blah. Fred, the other Jim Kelly, Jim Brown, blah, 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 just to name a few.
Yeah.
They always had a plan to stick it to the man.
Yeah.
They were going up against the white guys, and these movies were the bad guys. And they would get a plan to stick it to the white man, and the white man was called the man.
Exactly.
Quote, unquote, the man. We got a plan to stick it to the man.
Yep.
Then they started reversing everything because they wanted black people to go up against black people and to have a clash of hatred.
Yeah. And they have all these gangster movies and all these abusive and all kinds of drug movies, stuff like that.
But they're blacks going up against black because they will not do a movie where black people are going up against whites and they're united.
Yeah.
And see,
exactly, because they make you have, and that's why I was like, I'm so torn with the Black Panther movie because I love how beautiful it was done, but I know that they're not gonna just give us exactly because even the African people that were in the movie, even the African American people that were in the movie, they don't even know the true history, so they're thinking we're doing something for the community. We're gonna get all these rewards, and we're making all this money.
But they're not. They're just used like tools, to create negative, stereotypical images that are not true heroes and not true heroic. Yeah, you know what I'm talking about. Yeah. And when I wrote the fourth installment, I continued my work with the book. The fourth installment, Warner Brothers offered me $30 million for that script. Yeah. Because it's the real Matrix. It's the real continuation. I made 2 and 3 a dream. That Neo and Trinity never died. Morpheus never died. Yeah. They wake up from the dream and the work continues, but greater. It eclipsed 1. Yeah. And the 2 and 3 is just garbage, so horrible. Yeah. I had to destroy it. Yeah. This is why they're lying in the media. Well, we got to come up with something. Yeah. Because what are we going to do? Yeah. What are we going to write? Well, you didn't write The Matrix and Terminator because you would continue your work. Exactly. You would already know. It would already been written. Yeah. Because look, my book has been out since 2010. It's 2019 now. 9 years. Yep. Fans are reading it around the globe. Yep. So wait a minute. You want to come out with a fourth installment of garbage and you don't want Lawrence Fishburne, Morpheus in it? And you want Michael B. Jordan and you don't know what he's going to be? You might be a young Morpheus, but you have no idea. Yeah. And Larry Wachowski, his name is Larry because he has no name change and no sex change. Because you'd have to go through the courts for a name change because you might be trying to avoid child support. You might have committed a crime, which Larry Wachowski did. he can't get his name changed to Lena because he stole federally protected copyrighted work and he put his name on it.
Wow.
He don't have no sex change. He didn't cut off his penis. They are lying in the media. And people need to make them accountable.
Yeah.
Back in the day when you lied in the media, people held you accountable for it.
Yeah. And you can tell that they're not confident about the Matrix because you've never seen them talk about Matrix 4. You've never seen them talk about any of the Matrices. So
and you're not going to because it's a criminal act.
Yeah.
If you are like I'm doing right now and I can speak freely because it's the truth,
yeah.
You can use this when they got on any talk show, Ellen, it can be used to put them in jail because crime catches up with you. Like Bernie Madoff, he was stealing from the wealthy, multi-millions and billions of dollars from millionaires and billionaires. And they were reporting it to the feds. They were reporting it.
Yeah.
But he didn't go to jail till years later. Yeah. He did it for 20 to 30 years. He's 65 years old at the time when they caught him. Yeah. He got 150 years, so he's going to die there. John Gotti, same way. Al Capone, he just got out and then died.
Yeah,
but
they made all those people look like, people that you should aspire to be with the movies and stuff like that with Al Capone and stuff.
Yeah.
So
because they're thinking, they tell that lie where you can get away with murder. You can get away with a crime. They're trying to celebrate a criminal act and make it look heroic. Yeah. When it's just bad repercussions behind it.
Yeah. They don't show the end part.
They don't
unless they just die. Like in,
you ought to hear how many times I've heard people say, well, they got away with it. On my case, I said, you don't understand.
Yeah.
They didn't get away with anything. Yeah. It catches up with you. It doesn't matter if it's 20 years ago. It doesn't. Well, why haven't things been done? It's been 15 years. It's been 20 years. Mm-hmm. Why haven't things been done? It's been 38 years of this criminal act against the people. And they don't realize it's against them.
Yeah.
Because if they steal one of our copyrights, they've stolen all of our copyrights.
Yeah.
If they don't protect our rights under the Constitution, they don't protect anybody's right under the Constitution. If they have a hate crime against one of us, persons of color or of gender, then it's a hate crime against all of us. We're all in this together. And that's the part that's missing because they think that's your problem. I say, no, it is your problem. Yeah. It's your problem to show and make sure that everybody's rights are protected because your rights are in violations. Everyone's rights are in violations.
Yeah, that's very true. So I was just thinking about the conversation that we had earlier about like masculine and feminine energy. Yeah, I was kind of talking about. We basically started talking about how we both grew up as athletes and around the boys and tomboys and stuff like that, and we carry like a masculine energy. Talk more about how that's helped you with your fight. And to be so confident and not afraid.
Well, it hasn't been a fight. I don't want people to think it's a fight or a struggle because with God, there is no fight. Even David ate the food, David and Goliath. In the Bible, even David ate the food that was put on the altar for God. Yeah. Even Moses or Abraham the birds brought food to feed him. Yeah. And Moses was taken care of when he ran away from Pharaoh. It is no struggle because this is what they try to tell you. It's a struggle. It's a fight. We don't want to do that. We don't want to turn away from the cabal because our lives will be difficult. No, your life is not difficult if you stand up for truth in God.
That's true.
Your life is rewarded. They've been telling people lies. They would say negative stuff to me. Well, what about your struggle, your fight? I said, I had no struggle, no fight because God took care of everything. Go back in the Bible and look at everybody, all of God's heroes, whether it was David, Solomon, Moses, Abraham, Noah, different ones. They all stood up for God. They had no struggle. God took care of them. Yeah. And he's telling you he'll take care of you if you stand up for truth in God.
Yeah, that's very true. Because they do make it seem like even in the media, as far as like people speaking the truth, like they make it seem like they're crazy, or they're just taken out the second that they start speaking truth and they start having ownership and things like that. And it makes so many people afraid to, one, speak the truth.
Yes.
And for two,
to stand up for truth and own stuff.
Own their own stuff and say, okay, turn down, because somebody asked me, if you were offered $100 million record deal and you had to sell your soul, would you do it? And I was like, no, because I know how to manifest. I don't need to sell my soul.
You don't need to sell your soul. I told them that. You don't need to sell your soul. Mm-hmm. You can be wealthy, successful with God. A lot of people don't even believe in God anymore because they don't want you to believe in God, because if you believe in God, you're going to challenge them and you're going to beat them because God is real. If he wasn't real, then there would be no need to convince you. Yeah. If Santa Claus is not real, do anybody try to convince you? Don't talk about Santa Claus. He's not real. No, they know he's not real and they don't need to convince you. So why do you need to convince about God? Why do you need to tell me, don't talk about God. God is not real. I don't believe in God. I don't worship him. Well, if you don't, why are you trying to convince somebody and convince yourself? Yep. You would just simply say God doesn't exist and go on about your business. You wouldn't care.
Yeah.
Labeling people crazy because they speak for God. Mm-hmm. Labeling people with names and derogatory things because people choose to use their free will to stand up for equality and truth.
Yeah.
Many people, Martin Luther King, Malcolm X, many of them.
Yeah. But I think some of it can be, depending on your intent and who you are, can be a double-edged sword, because the Nazis and Hitler, they used the Bible when they first started to condition people. And a lot of times, even in the movies, they'll use biblical terms and things like that and flip it around. Even a lot of these preachers and pastors, that's why I feel like you really have to have discernment when you're listening and watching things that is supposed to be religious and spiritual.
But I'm glad you brought that up, because God says one important thing that everybody's been missing, mm-hmm. that the sun shines on the good as well as the evil. Mm-hmm. That means that anybody can take God's laws, mm-hmm. his scriptures, his goodness, his phenomenal miracles and blessings, and use them for evil against others and themselves. Mm-hmm. You see what I'm talking about? He doesn't say only the good people can use this.
Yeah.
No. Anybody, you choose.
Yep.
You can take any of this, like you just said, where the Nazis, the Hitlers and the Nazis, mm-hmm. took it and used it for negative. Yep. And they used the scriptures and they used the Bible and they're brainwashing people and they're introducing magic and witchcraft and all that. They're doing that, because they can do that.
Yeah.
It's your choice. Mm-hmm. You got the free will.
Yep.
You can just say no, just like you're saying no to drugs.
Yeah.
Just like you're saying no to alcohol. Yeah. Just like you're saying no to evil. Yeah. It's left up to you where you want to be.
Yeah. And I feel like
not even God interferes with that.
Yeah, a lot of people have to know that even that is a decision, because I grew up in a church where I always felt disconnected, because I was always in the church. I had a lot of spiritual thoughts. I had a lot of questions they couldn't answer, or they would answer with some stuff that didn't make sense to me. I'm a teenager. I'm asking questions that are simple, and y'all can't answer the questions.
Well, you know why?
I made the choice to go on my own spiritual journey.
Well, I don't mean to cut you off, but do you know why? Because lots of people, and not everybody, mm-hmm. and I'm not talking about any individuals, but a lot of people get out of jail and start a church because the 501 nonprofit is free, and they're not there but to fleece the sheeps. Yep. Come in wolves' clothing. Yep. It's all in the Bible. Anybody can do it for money.
Yep.
You know what I'm talking about? But God judges the heart. So only God can tell a man that's leading him, telling his people, because God says that all religions, even though they were all different and separate and had a different message, he said there was two things that they had in common, mm-hmm. that really he thought about. One, that they led people to God and they made people think of God. Mm-hmm. These are the two things that all religion, no matter how different they are, and what they teach, and some of them were created to brainwash and separate and all of this. But God says that we have free will, so We must seek out the truth. We
Yeah,
must
that's true.
search for the truth. And it doesn't matter where we try to find it.
Yeah.
But we need to find it.
Yeah.
And this way, nobody will be able to lie to us. I
That's
told people
huge.
on many of my interviews, don't believe me. Don't listen to me.
Mm-hmm.
Just do one important thing.
Yeah.
Go out there, research it, seek it, search it out on your own. That way, when you find the truth, no one can be able to lie to you ever again.
Yeah.
That's all I ask.
That's true. And that's
I'm like Kanye West. I'm not trying to turn atheists into believers.
yeah.
I'm not trying to lead you somewhere.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to take you somewhere. All I'm trying to do is get you to dig and dig deep.
Yeah. And I think that a lot of times it takes for people to have a situation for them to wake up in that way, to take responsibility. Because before, it was easier for me personally to just follow the beaten path. But then once I saw, okay, there's more to life than just, going to college and just listening to what everybody else thinks. And ultimately, with this time that I have on earth, it's my responsibility to figure out what is true and what's not true. Because if my mom tells me, you need to do this, or this is how this goes, and it's not true, and she doesn't know it's not true, I still have to deal with the repercussions of me following something that's not true. Even though it's my mom, or it's my pastor, or my grandpa told me this, it doesn't matter. I am responsible for myself.
Yeah, and your own acts and your actions.
Because if I take action based on what somebody else says, and I'm believing that they're telling me the truth, and it's not the truth, I'm still gonna be in trouble.
Or passing that story on to somebody else.
Exactly.
Well, or not investigating and dig deeper to
That's
find out.
Huge.
But this is where free will come in. Not even God is going to take your free will. Now, man is always trying to take your free will from you.
Yeah.
He knows that he cannot.
Yeah.
It is a divine privilege that is given by God. So all he can do is trick you out of your free will. All he can do is deceive you out of your free will. All he can do is create a program, an illusion, which is the Matrix and the Terminator, and take you where he wants you to go with a lie and a program.
Yeah, that's very true. And people don't understand their conscious mind, subconscious mind, infinite intelligence, tapping into that type of stuff. So let's switch gears, and I'm going to take a quick break so we can start everything up again. But I want to start talking about, what does freedom look like? What does it feel like? And what is that path to getting to that? So we'll check that out right quick.